Hello YouTube, so in this video I'll be showing how I draw eyes in my style. A lot of people have been asking how I draw art and each part of it in my style, so I figured I'll make a multi-part series covering each part of art. And without further ado, let's get started. So we have a blank canvas over here. So the first part will be covering the sketching and how I shape the eye. So first off, I start off with two lines like this, and that represents the side profile. If you want to make the front profile, you might want to change it up a bit and go like this. That's how we do it. And just like this one, it goes for the other way as well. So instead of going like this, you go like this when the camera is pointing towards to the right. So after you make these lines, you make another line here representing the other side of the eye, and you see how the shape is forming a bit over here. And next is the eyeball. Now this is where the drawing part comes, like, depends on the style. I usually like to make elongated kind of circles, no, not circles, like oblongs, I guess. You don't put them as eggs, and I do them like this. After making the eyelash and the eyeball, I like making the lashes in the bottom as well. So how I do it is I'll make a line going like this, a slash. See how it looks like a triangle in a way. That's how I represent the perspective, and do it for the same side as well. I mean, for the other side, except it's going the other way around. So instead of it going slanted like this, it's the other way around, like this. See how it makes a image of the eye? Yeah, that's how I sketch the base of the eye basically. And I'm just like filling up the rest of the lines here. Let's make it thicker. The lines go like this, extend them a bit, make them more defined. And yeah, now we have the base of the eye over here. Now I make the I'll continue this line over here and add another line here to give the shape of the eye more, represent it more in a way, and do the same for the other side, going like this. Now I like making the pupils in sketching, even though it's not necessary. So how I do it is I focus on the middle of the eye, and that goes for the right eye, because that's the part where it shows the most, or that's the eye that shows the most to us. But for this one, it only shows partly of it. So imagine that this is a complete circle, but instead it's a bit obstructed by this line because it's following the perspective. So now how we do it is we offset the pupil more to the right instead of to the left or to the middle. So compared to this one where it's in the middle, this pupil will be more to the right, like this. So yeah, after making the pupil, I add more details to this part of the eye. Just make some small triangles representing more of the eyelash, or the whatever you call them, eye. So yeah, after that I add some lines here to represent that bump above the eye. You don't have to do this part, but just like adding it for more detail. And for the eyebrow, I just simply draw a line. That's two lines, that's not one line, but yeah. How I do most of the eyes in Lineart mode is I just make fast strokes, fast rapid strokes, and follow the base sketch, of course. When drawing lines, make sure you're confident with lines, otherwise your lines gonna look janky and, you know, very shaky, which will not give a good look. Well, it depends on the style, of course, but for most artworks it doesn't give a good look. So I like making the confident lines, even though I need to undo and redo a bit. And this is very time consuming, but yeah. Art is very time consuming for it to be good. Just follow this. I like leaving small gaps just for detail. This is a small style thing. Undo it as well if you want. I prefer it that way. Now we can also draw the pupil. In this case, I'm just gonna draw it because why not? You can leave it out if you want because we'll make it. We're only doing the sketch pupil for reference. I'm just gonna continue anyway. And after doing the line art, now we turn off the sketch layer and see how we've done. This is pretty good. It's clean. But yeah, now we need to start coloring soon. But before I do that, I'm just gonna clean it. Nothing much to clean here, small connections. Yeah. Now that we have the line art, now we need to start deciding our colors. Let's go with this tint of blue. And just make this. Now that I have my base color, I'm gonna start making a new layer below it so I can apply the color. I'm just gonna do this, fill it up. Now that we have the base color, we also need to start deciding on the sclera color. So for this part of the eye, I just like using the very light gray and with a bit of red to represent more of the human type feel. And I'm just gonna start filling this up, following the shape of the eye as well. Okay, now that we have that, I'm gonna take this as reference. There we go. And now we make the shading colors. So for shading colors, I just like taking the color, going down a bit directly, and then going to the right a bit, just a bit. So in a way, wait, let me do that. So in a way, you're making an L shape on the color box or color wheel, depending on what you use, and this will give you the shading color. The idea here is to make it darker, more saturated, and I'll also turn the hue up to the cooler side of the spectrum. So for this case, the cooler side is this part, which is cyan or neon. So we're gonna move towards that. And now we have the shading color for this base. Just gonna add that here. See how it blends together. And I'll make another one. Let's do the same thing. Let's make an L shape. Hover it towards the cooler part of the spectrum. Make another shading color. Just to be safe, I'm gonna make another one. Very dark color. There we go. And I just give you a tutorial on how to make palettes. That's how you make palettes, by the way. It's very simple. And do the same thing here. Down, right, towards the cooler part. For this glitter, I'm just gonna use one shading color because it's light and doesn't need too much shading on it. So yeah. Anyways, let's continue with the eyeball. Take the shading color and make a new layer on top of the eye layer. Make sure you clip it so that when you write over it or draw over it, it doesn't go away. The colored part, because if I don't have clipping, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make something like this. It's gonna be very, very annoying unless you're painting, or you're a painter rather. So let's clip this and make an arc shape like this. And that's how you apply shading on the eye. And how I judge on where to put the arc is I try to go over the pupil halfway through and then shade the top, the rest of the top after. So see how I'm putting the shading over here, and it's halfway in the pupil. That's how I do it. And now I just make the pupil, and now I just fill up this part of the pupil as well, because we're gonna make it darker later. And I'm gonna erase this because we don't need it anymore. Oops. Oops. Oh, that's disgusting. Wait, let me fix that. Take this base color and fill it up. And now we have the base and the first shading color. Let's get on with the next color. Just for the next shading color, I like shading most of it, but leaving the first shading color on the you leave some of the first shading color, so it creates a fade feel or a fade look. I'll do the same thing on the other side as well. There we go. And I'll also apply the next shading color. I'll do that. Oh, make sure. When you're making a shading color, make sure you have a layer for each one of them. So let's say for the first shading color, I have one layer for that, another layer for the second shading color, and a third layer for the third one, like this. So it's easier to fix later if you're wanting to make adjustments and such. So now we have a cell shaded eye. But for this video, I'm gonna go over the blending styles I use and how I approach the eye as a whole, not just this. So after applying all the shading, I take the second shading color and go to the second shading layer, this one. Oops. And I follow the shape of the pupil, so I make a circle like this. It's just a style thing. Obviously, you won't fill it up if you want. It'll also look good, but I like keeping it like this to give that detailed look and stylized look. Just fix this a bit. And now with all that, take a blurring tool or watercolor. For IBIS Paint users, I think you have the blending tool or the blurring tool to use for this. So let's use that tool to do this next step. And the step is to blend the first shading color towards the bottom, so it creates the fade. There we go. Do the same thing for the second shading color. As much as possible, try to keep this intact in the middle, the pupil shape. Third shading color. I like going all over it just to, oops, oh, that's the wrong color. Make sure you have the color before you do this. Take up most of the second shading color using the third color. Now we have that gradient. So yeah. On to the next step, I take the first shading color, go to the first shading color layer, and I make a line going like this. So again, this is more of a stylized thing, so you want to play around with this. Let me give you an example. Another shape you want to do is something like this, being more to that realistic look. In a way, you're still following this curve, but instead you're using multiple lines to represent that curve, making it look more detailed. Again, see how I'm following the curve. That's how I decide on this part of my style. Obviously, you want to still play around with the shapes, you want to do whatever you want with this, but in my way, I like the simple line because it's fast and effective. This. And now we have that. I'll go over the first shading color using the second shading color as well. Spread this like this. Blend it a bit, and now we have that. Okay, after doing this part of the eye shading, I make a new layer on top of everything, clip it of course, and now we do the take the multiply layer mode and get a dark color. Only use the second shading color if you want for your job to be easier, and you use a soft brush or an airbrush and just go over the half of the eye with a big size like this. Do the same thing for the other side. Just make sure you do it halfway, don't take too much of the light space here. Like that. And I also like doing the sides as well, like this. Obviously I'm leaving this side because some of the eye is over here as well. Wait. But it's hidden by this perspective illusion, so we're not gonna do like this. Wait, I'm not gonna do it like this, but instead just leave it open like this. But for this one, it's all of it is shown, so I'm just gonna do this. Make it depressed in a way, but I'll give it life later. Next step is to make another one. Use multiply again and go over another color, but with the same shade hue and value. No, not hue, but value. For this example, I'm just gonna use purple, but also you can play around with this as well. So you can use green if you want. You can use red. You can use pink, purple, etc., etc. I'm just gonna use purple. And do the same thing, just go over it. Now it's looking very depressed, but this contrast will make a big difference later. And now I'll make a new layer, the Shade and Shine, for Ibis Paint users and CSP or Clips 3D Paint. There's a layer mode called Add, which you can use to do this part. Basically what it does is you use this layer mode to represent highlights because it gives a nice shine, and you want to do it with a light color, something like this. Since it's blue, I'm gonna use a warmer color. A rule I follow is when you're making a shading color, make it cooler, and when you're making a highlight, you go towards the warmer part of the spectrum. So since my base color is in here, I'm gonna go towards the red, so my highlight's gonna be here, somewhere around the purple. And I'll just take a big brush. I like using a soft brush and just tap over the bottom part of the eye, so like this. Oops, wait, let me use a less saturated color. So like this. Do the same thing on the other side, like this. And now you have a nice highlight over the pressed eye that we did earlier. After this part, I like making another one. I'm just making a lighter version of this, except it's in the bottom part like this. So we give that nice gradient feel, like this. Now we have a nice eye. After this part, I'm gonna give it the gloss, which is my favorite part. Again, you can also play with the shape of this, but just make a new Shade and Shine layer or add layer, and take it's usually this color. That's good to use, but you can also use purple. For this case, I'm just gonna use this cyan color, and again, take another big brush and lightly tap over the dark part of the area, so we get that gloss feeling. So tap it a bit. Tap, make a circle so we can adjust it. Make it lighter if you want, because you want to adjust the layer anyway, like this. Now we have a nice gloss. This will give the bubbly effect on the eye, which is good for if you want to make feminine or crying eyes, especially. So now that we have this, I'm just gonna make another multiply layer. This is to emphasize the pupil in the middle part of the eye. So again, I take this first shading color and just emphasize the pupil, go around it like this. make sure you don't touch the highlight, because that's gonna make the highlight darker, which we don't want. And let's go over like this on the pupil, and you can also make a C on the middle, just to give a boundary on the light and dark part of the eye. Like this. Now we have that. Just go over this a bit because it looks a bit weird. Bend this a bit. There we go. Looks better. And now we do the oops. Wait, let me just do that. Make sure you put everything on top of the eye layer, so it's easier to work with. Make a new shade and shine or add layer. Now we add the I call it the window glow effect, which I really like for my most artwork. So how I do it is take a blue or purple color. Since we've been working with blues for the most part, I'll take a purple and make it as light as you can, and pull the saturation in the middle, so it's like this on the color box. And now what we do is we take a solid brush and just go over the eye like this, following the shape of the eye, but you want to play with this as well. Just don't make it too thick like this, because it's covering the gloss now. Make it thin, but not noticeable enough. I'm gonna make it like this. And now, think of it as if you're cutting this line and making a window effect. So how the windows look, for most windows, they look like this. But you want to also play around with the shapes, so you know, just play with it. Just don't make too much lines. Can make a kind of a cross thing over here with a thin line there. Cross thing, thin line. Now we have the window effect, and adjust this to your liking. The opacity. I like it that way. That's perfect for me. And make another shade and shine layer. Sorry if I'm using too much layers, by the way, because this is how I do my style. I just stack layers on top of each other. But feel free to reuse some of the layers so it's manageable for you. But yeah, I'm stacking layer on layer for each step because I like it that way. But yeah, for this part I like using neon color. Again, play around with the color as much as you want. Adjust it to your liking. For this one I'm just gonna use cyan or neon, whatever you want to call it, and put a border on top of the eye like this, so you're making a line on top of the eye basically. And again, adjust it to your liking. I like keeping it light. That, and now again make it a shade and shine color. I'm sorry, this is just how I do it. And make a neon color again. Wait, what did we use for the highlight? Oh, we used the purple. Okay, use a purple and get a color something like this, a very light color with 3/4 saturation. Let's go over the bottom part. Actually, I'm gonna make it up the middle, make it more lively. This, just their liking. Boom. And for the last part, now we apply the shine and glare. Forgot what they're called. It's just the white of the eye. So I like not clipping this one because I want to go over this glare as well. So let's say I have this layer that's not clipped, so I'm able to go over the colors. I also like to put it on top of the Lineart so it's more manipulated. Yeah, see how it's going over the line as well? That's how we want it. And now we take a white color and just make circles going over the sclera and the eyeball. Like so. And also play with this, so make a window effect if you want. Make it more detailed. And make a capsule like this. I call it capsule, so it looks like a capsule. And I'll also do one for the pupil. Just make it thin. Boom. And yeah, that's how I do the eyeball. For this next step is more of an advanced thing. But yeah, I'm just dividing I'm just gonna divide the light and the dark using a weird color. So, wait, oops, I made a mistake. Instead of blue, I'm gonna use a red color. It's usually red. If you don't know what to use for color, just use red and get a very spicy red color like this, and just go over the middle like this. It's more of a stylist thing again, but use it if you want. Erase the middle and adjust the opacity. And now let's go over the sclera, which is the white part of the eye, which is here somewhere, yep, here. Again, for shading, you usually want to make a new layer on top of the base and clip it, so it's easier to work with. And for this, let's take the shading color and just follow the shape of the eyelash. You can also play with this if you want. Just make sure it's following the light. So if you want to make it thicker, feel free. Want to make it thinner, feel free. But I'm definitely gonna make this shading color darker because it's not noticeable here. But that's how you do art, just adjust on the go if it's not looking good for you. I don't like this color, so I'm just gonna make it a bit darker. Like so, this is better. Now it's a bit noticeable, and I just give it a bit of a blend. And do the same thing as last time with the eye. Divide the light and dark using an orange color, using a soft brush. Make it more saturated. There we go. Well, that's how I do eyes. If you want to get over the perspectives and stuff on how to put the eye on the head, there's a lot of tutorials already on YouTube. That's about it for my video. I hope you enjoyed it, and definitely be making more videos on how to do art. Maybe I'll do the hair next and see how I improve with making videos such as this. So yeah, have a good day and good night, and I'll see you in the next one.